What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Talk. Following months of speculation and anticipation surrounding Tom Aspinall's return to the octagon, UFC 321 finally brought fans the long-awaited clash between the interim heavyweight champion and former title contender Ciryl Gane. The fight, however, ended in devastating fashion, leaving fans shocked and both fighters with uncertain futures. From the opening bell, the energy inside the arena was electric. Gane came out sharp, using his trademark speed and technical striking to establish control early. Within moments, he bloodied Aspinall's nose with a powerful left hand, showcasing his precision and timing. Despite the early adversity, Aspinall pressed forward, determined to find his rhythm. Yet, it was clear that Gane's superior footwork and evasive movement were creating challenges for the Englishman, forcing him to adapt his approach. The fight took a tragic turn when Gane accidentally poked Aspinall in both eyes during an exchange. The incident immediately halted the bout as the referee called for medical attention. Aspinall, visibly in pain, struggled to open his right eye, which appeared to have sustained the more serious damage. He was given several minutes to recover, but ultimately informed the referee that he could not see. The fight was waved off, resulting in an anticlimactic and heartbreaking conclusion to what had been shaping up as a compelling heavyweight showdown. In the aftermath, Aspinall was visibly upset. During his post-fight interview with Daniel Cormier, he expressed frustration that the fight ended prematurely, saying he felt it was just beginning to unfold. He also responded to fans who had booed the outcome, reminding them that he was the victim of two accidental but severe eye pokes. Daniel Cormier later revealed on his YouTube channel that Aspinall's right eye was covered with a bandage backstage and that he still couldn't open it even 20 minutes after the fight ended. Cormier described how both of Aspinall's eyes had been affected, one scraped badly, and the other deeply poked, leaving the heavyweight champion in visible pain. Despite the controversy, Cormier and many observers noted that Gane looked sharper than he had in recent fights. His composure, striking accuracy, and takedown defense were all on display in those brief exchanges. Cormier even remarked that this version of Gane was the fighter everyone expected to show up against Jon Jones earlier in his career. He added that, had the fight continued, it would have been the toughest challenge of Aspinall's career, given how effectively Gane was executing his game plan. With such an unfortunate ending, the logical next step seems clear: the UFC should rebook the fight as soon as possible. There was no definitive winner, and both fighters have unfinished business. Moreover, the controversy surrounding the stoppage has only increased fan interest in a rematch. Before UFC 321, many believed Aspinall was on track for a potential super fight with Jon Jones if he secured a dominant victory. While that storyline is now on hold, a rematch with Gane could determine the true top contender in the heavyweight division. If the UFC moves quickly, both fighters could return to action in early 2026, giving fans the closure they deserve after one of the most unfortunate endings in recent heavyweight history. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Following the unfortunate ending to UFC 321's main event between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane, UFC President Dana White addressed the media at the post-fight press conference, sharing his thoughts on the controversial eye poke incident and the future of both heavyweights. When asked for his reaction to how the fight ended, Dana didn't hold back. "I feel the same way everybody else does," he began. "It was a great showing, a great fight in the making, and a terrible ending." The UFC boss acknowledged the frustration shared by fans and fighters alike, noting how the contest had all the ingredients of a potential classic before being cut short by the accidental foul. White went on to praise Ciryl Gane's performance, highlighting how much improvement the French heavyweight had shown since his disappointing title loss to Jon Jones. "I think after that Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Ciryl Gane off," Dana explained, "but he looked damn good tonight. He came in focused, sharp, and you could see that he had clearly worked on his weaknesses." The fight, though brief, offered glimpses of what could have been an intense and tactical battle between two of the most skilled heavyweights in the division. Gane used his trademark movement and striking precision to bloody Aspinall's nose early on, while Aspinall showed composure and forward pressure, determined to find his rhythm. According to Dana, those early moments were enough to convince him that the bout was headed toward being something special. "It looked like we were in for a few rounds of really good action," he said. "Both guys were settling in, and it felt like the fight was just getting started before it all went down." Unfortunately, a pair of accidental eye pokes from Gane changed the entire course of the night. Aspinall was unable to continue after telling the referee he couldn't see out of his right eye, forcing the fight to be called off. The incident left fans disappointed and the heavyweight division in temporary limbo. When asked about what comes next, Dana White confirmed that the UFC plans to rebook the fight once Aspinall has medically recovered. "Yeah, it's a total pain in the ass, but yes, we're going to rebook it," he said candidly. "Nobody wants a fight to end like that, not the fans, not the fighters, and definitely not us. We want to see that fight happen the right way." White's response reflects both the UFC's commitment to fairness and its understanding of fan demand. The matchup between Aspinall and Gane had been one of the most anticipated heavyweight bouts of the year, and its inconclusive finish has only increased the appetite for a rematch. Dana also expressed sympathy for both fighters. "It's unfortunate for Tom because he came back after months of hype and training, only for the fight to end like this. And it's tough for Gane too, because he looked great, but now it's overshadowed by what happened." As of now, the UFC is waiting for an update on Aspinall's medical condition before setting a date for the rematch. If all goes well, fans could see the two top heavyweights run it back in early 2026, this time, with the hopes of a clean and decisive conclusion to one of the most talked about fights in recent heavyweight history. Move on to another news. Islam Makhachev may be one of the most disciplined and serious fighters in the UFC, but that doesn't mean he doesn't know how to have a little fun, especially at the expense of his longtime manager, Ali Abdelaziz. As Makhachev continues his intense preparation for his upcoming fight against Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 322, the reigning lightweight contender recently took a lighthearted jab at Ali in a moment that quickly went viral across social media. The incident began when Islam noticed Ali paying an eye-popping $200 for a haircut, which immediately caught his attention. Known for his humble lifestyle and no-nonsense attitude toward money, Islam couldn't resist teasing his manager for what he saw as an over-the-top expense. In a clip that made its rounds online, Makhachev can be seen jokingly offering to cut Ali's hair himself, claiming he could do it just as well, and for free. The two shared playful banter as Islam tried to convince Ali to sit down and let him handle the clippers. "Ali, please don't move," Islam said, pretending to take on the role of a professional barber. "Brother, next time I can do for you haircut. You buy the machine, and I make it. I have machine, brother, new machine, I can do for you." Ali, clearly amused, went along with the bit as Islam continued to rib him. The reigning lightweight king told his manager that spending $200 for a simple haircut made no sense when a perfectly good pair of clippers costs much less. He even suggested that Ali could save the money and treat himself to a nice meal afterward. The exchange showcased a rarely seen side of Islam Makhachev, a lighter, more humorous personality beneath the usually stoic and focused fighter that fans see inside the octagon. Despite being in the midst of a grueling training camp, he seemed relaxed and in good spirits, joking around with the people closest to him. What made the interaction particularly entertaining was the authenticity of the moment. Islam wasn't just cracking jokes, he genuinely seemed baffled by the idea of someone paying hundreds of dollars for a simple trim. "You enjoy cutting hair?" he asked the barber with a grin. When the barber responded affirmatively, Islam laughed and said, "It's not problem, brother. I can do this too." Ali, who manages many of the UFC's biggest stars, including Khabib Nurmagomedov, Henry Cejudo, and Justin Gaethje, is no stranger to being teased by his fighters. Known for his loud personality and strong opinions, Abdelaziz often finds himself the target of friendly jokes within his team. This moment with Makhachev was no different and showed the strong bond between manager and fighter. While the exchange was playful, it also highlighted Islam's grounded personality. Despite his fame, championship pedigree, and rising star power, Makhachev remains humble and practical, traits he inherited from his mentor, Khabib. The Dagestani star's reaction to a $200 haircut wasn't just a joke, it was a reflection of his simple, disciplined outlook on life. Fans loved the interaction, with many commenting online about how refreshing it was to see one of the UFC's most stoic fighters show off his sense of humor. Whether it's inside the gym or joking with friends, Islam Makhachev continues to prove that behind the dominant fighter lies a humble, down-to-earth personality, and perhaps, an aspiring barber. Move on to another news. UFC President Dana White is once again under fire, this time for his handling of the controversial ending to UFC 321's main event and his post-fight remarks about Tom Aspinall. The heavyweight title bout between Aspinall and Ciryl Gane ended abruptly in the first round after a series of accidental eye pokes rendered Aspinall unable to continue, resulting in a no contest. While the incident itself sparked disappointment across the MMA world, it was Dana White's tone and comments afterward that ignited a wave of backlash from fans, media, and fellow fighters. During the UFC 321 post-fight press conference, White seemed to imply that Aspinall may have chosen not to continue, rather than being physically unable to fight. "It's unfortunate it ended the way it did," Dana said. "He had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight." That remark, subtle as it may have sounded, struck a nerve with many in the MMA community who felt it disrespected a fighter clearly injured from two severe eye pokes. Prominent MMA journalist Ciryl was among the first to call out Dana on social media, criticizing how he framed the situation. On X, formerly Twitter, Helwani wrote, "Predictable. Tom says he wouldn't fight. His dad says he wants him to box equals Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. Wild way of framing such a deep double eye poke." Helwani's comment reflected a growing sentiment among fans that Dana White's remarks downplayed the seriousness of Aspinall's injury and unfairly questioned his toughness. Others within the MMA community echoed similar frustrations. Some accused Dana of harboring bias against Aspinall, pointing out that the English fighter's past statements may have rubbed the UFC president the wrong way. Aspinall previously said he would consider vacating his title if it meant giving a friend a chance to fight for it, a sentiment many fans admired but one that reportedly didn't sit well with Dana. Adding to the tension, Tom's father had recently mentioned the idea of him trying his hand at boxing, something White has historically disapproved of when it involves his contracted fighters. Fans online voiced their disappointment openly. One commenter wrote, "You can tell Dana hasn't been a fan of Tom for a while. Between his honesty, his dad's boxing comments, and this unfortunate finish, I don't see Dana doing him any favors." Another added, "A pay-per-view main event ending in the first round like that is bad enough, but blaming the injured fighter, that's just wrong." Critics also pointed to Dana's long-standing favoritism toward other stars, particularly Jon Jones, suggesting that White's loyalty to Jones has overshadowed his willingness to promote Aspinall. "Dana will never stop riding Jon's coattails," one fan posted. "He's spent 2 years ignoring Aspinall's rise while bending over backwards trying to get Jones to fight again." Others accused White of having an emotional and reactive management style, one that often leads to public criticism of fighters he personally clashes with. "Classic Dana throwing fighters under the bus," one user said. "He's done it for years. The truth only matters when it benefits him." The backlash continues to grow as fans demand fairness for Aspinall, who is now recovering from the injuries sustained during the fight. Many believe he deserves an immediate rematch with Gane to set the record straight and restore his standing in the division. Whether Dana White's comments will have long-term effects on his relationship with Aspinall remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, UFC 321's ending and the fallout that followed have become one of the most divisive moments in recent MMA memory. Move on to another news. The drama following UFC 321's controversial ending has continued to escalate, and this time, it's Jon Jones who has found himself at the center of attention, once again taking a jab at Tom Aspinall in a way that has drawn both laughter and criticism from the MMA community. After Aspinall's fight against Ciryl Gane ended prematurely due to a double eye poke resulting in a no contest, the heavyweight division was left in disarray. Fans were sympathetic toward Aspinall, who appeared genuinely injured and frustrated by the outcome. However, Jon Jones, known for his tendency to stir controversy, decided to capitalize on the situation in a way that many perceived as mocking and disrespectful. Shortly after the fight, Jones updated his Twitter profile picture, changing it to an image of a cartoon duck, now edited to include an eye patch over one eye. The reference was obvious to everyone following the event. The image was a direct jab at Aspinall, symbolically referencing the eye injury that forced him out of the fight. MMA fans quickly noticed the change, and social media exploded with reactions. Some found the move humorous, describing it as classic Jon Jones trolling, while others criticized the former champion for mocking a fellow fighter's injury. The update also reignited the ongoing tension between Jones and Aspinall. For months, fans and analysts had speculated about a potential matchup between the two, one that could have determined the true king of the heavyweight division. But following UFC 321, it's become increasingly clear that Jones is not interested in fighting Aspinall, at least not anytime soon. Sources close to Jones have said that his focus has shifted entirely toward a super fight with Alex Pereira, the reigning light heavyweight champion. Jones, who has long been vocal about pursuing legacy-defining bouts rather than defending titles, reportedly believes that a fight against Pereira would carry far more significance than facing Aspinall. To many, the eye patch stunt was not just a joke, it was Jones' way of dismissing Aspinall altogether. By the looks of it, Jon is completely overlooking Tom at this this point, one analyst noted. He doesn't seem interested in reclaiming the interim heavyweight belt or proving a point against Aspinall. He wants the fight that cements his legacy, and he believes that Alex Pereira is that opponent. If UFC President Dana White can finalize the deal, Jones vs. Pereira could headline a massive event, possibly the rumored White House card, which the promotion has been teasing for months. The matchup would pit two of the most dangerous and technically gifted fighters in MMA against each other, creating one of the most anticipated bouts in recent history. Fans, however, remain divided. Many argue that Jones should first settle unfinished business in the heavyweight division by facing Aspinall. Others believe that a cross-division fight with Pereira would be a fitting finale to Jones' storied career. Regardless, Jones' latest stunt has once again reminded fans why he remains one of the sport's most polarizing figures. Even when he's not fighting, he finds ways to dominate the headlines, sometimes through brilliance, and other times through controversy. As for Aspinall, he's expected to take some time to recover from his eye injuries before returning to the octagon. Whether a rematch with Gane or a future showdown with Jones awaits him remains to be seen. One thing is certain, the rivalry between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones is far from over, and the latest mockery has only added more fuel to an already heated fire.